All right, guys, we are here at CEDIA 2023. We're in the Masimo training area. We got a lot of products to cover. We're focusing this time on definitive technology. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video.
So what's up, Gene?
Phil, it is always awesome to have the Phil Jones with us on camera talking knowledge. I'm not going to say Def Tech. I know you guys are sensitive about that.
They get a little upset of Def Tech. Definitive tech. But you can say DT or just definitive. That's perfect.
Awesome. Well, Phil, we reviewed the Dimension DM70s very favorably. James Larson had a lot of great things to say about this speaker. Now I'm wondering, what do you have from the CI standpoint that could be more compact, easy to install for people that can't put big boxes in their rooms? What do you have going on here today?
Gene, that's a great question. One of the things that we're going through and redoing the definitive technology product assortment, because we realize that we have to have lots of different options for people to put in their homes to meet their specific needs. Because a lot of you, like you said, can't fit a speaker that big, and you may want the same types, a lot of those benefits sonically. It's something you could put in the wall. So we want to come up with things that you can put on the wall, in the wall, and but we still want to have that kind of DT sound.
The sonic signature.
The sonic signature. Because like we've all seen speakers and they all measure about the same theoretically. Plus or minus 3 dB, the dream is 20 to 20. But if I have 3 speakers that are plus or minus 3 dB, 20 to 20, they all sound completely different because there's so many things that are in there, the type of drivers you use and everything else. So if you want everything to match, it's great. So the nice thing about the new definitive systems is you pick the pieces you want. You can have towers in the front, in walls, on walls, and no matter what, it's all going to work well together.
They're voiced to match.
They're voiced to match. A lot of times they use the same components. So if I reach back here, where is it? They all, regardless of what you buy. So say you buy something like an on-wall, a in-wall, or even the big Dimension tower, they all use the same aluminum oxide tweeter, so you're going to get that type of sound. With the exception of the ultra-thin on-wall, they all use the same type of BDS driver with the dual surrounds, with the voice, with the
it's like a phase plug, right?
The waveguide, thank you. So they all use the BDS drivers with the dual surrounds and the waveguide. So the mid-ranges are going to be the same. Now this may be a little bit bigger and smaller. We have a couple of different sizes of these, but the overall sound is the same. The difference is the ones we're really going to be talking about today, which is the Mythos. And just because of how they're built, they had to be a little different. And we have another kind of exclusive driver technology for that.
So let's talk about the XTDD.
Okay, so let's first talk about why we made this thing.
Yeah.
So, there's people who want stuff on the wall, and there's people that want stuff in the wall. But then sometimes you can't have either. So for example, if I'm renting a house, I can't be cutting holes in the walls, but maybe I can drop a wire down there. Or hang it below a television set. So there are people who just want something on the wall. And if the speaker is as thin as the TV, it really comes up with a very good look. But then you say, okay, well, how big is the TV? So there's different sizes of these for TVs that match for 65, 75, and 85-inch TVs. So you can pick kind of the system that you want. So this is the new Mythos, definitive technology Mythos speaker. And what makes it unique is, notice how thin that sucker is, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do that? Because the normal cone is like this.
Right.
Not going to fit in there. Of course, the tweeter is going to be kind of thin, but how do you get something? How do you get punchy mid-range, mid-bass into something this size? It's not going to play like you're going to need a subwoofer. It's not like it's going to play all the way down to what a Dimension tower will. But you want to be able to do the vocals and the high frequencies and everything effectively. So we have to come with
80 or 100 hertz.
Yeah. So we have to come with a new technology. So if I lift this guy up, so workout. This uses a driver called an XTDD. The funny thing is, we were trying to figure out what that stood for because that analogy was developed like 10, 12 years ago. And my man Mike, who's hiding off camera, said it probably stands for extra thin dynamic driver. And we said, it probably does. If not, it does now. But the concept of this, they look like basically larger domes. Now, we'll share a slide.
About 3-inch?
Yeah, it's about a 3-inch. So if you look at the dome, the benefit of this is you can make it rigid and you can get rid of that traditional basket type solution. So if you look at a speaker like this, you have your basket, your voice coil, and then you have your magnet structure. Mm-hmm. So to make them thin, what some companies do is maybe they'll take this whole magnet and flip it inside. Yep, inside the spider. But even if I take that and if I turn it side by side, I mean, you can't really see that, but if I held this and I held that, even if you look at the basket, even if I flip that magnet in there, it would still be too big to have a speaker this size. Mm-hmm. By the time you put in the crossovers, you actually put it in a box. So it required a new type of technology.
Now, all these drivers, these are all active or are some of them passive?
This system, all of the drivers are actually active. We had another version of this Mythos speaker in the past where it was a combination of active and passive drivers, but now they're all active, which is nice because all active means more output.
And a higher sensitivity as well.
And a higher sensitivity. Yeah. So we actually did demos, I'm not sure you had a chance to hear them, but we actually had a system set up in like a 7.4 system setup where we use an LCR configuration of these at our demo suite in the at CEDIA this year.
So if someone's installing this on their TV and they want an LCR, they would put one of these horizontally and then the other two vertically on the side of the TV?
Well, there's two versions. There's two options. You can do, this is a LCR. And if you look there, you see that it has one pair of inputs. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to, you can have a left, one under the TV and one on the other side, right? And then those can go up on the wall. The other option is you can buy one of the 3 channels. So this is called an LCR, and there's LCR 65, 3 LCR 65, 75, 85. Then there's the 3C, and that is a 3-channel. Oh, good gosh.
These are all cast aluminum.
These are all cast aluminum. Yeah. So this, if you notice, it has 3 channels on it. Mm-hmm. So this is your left, right, and center, and this would go under your TV.
And in this driver configuration, you have an MTM, right?
Yes, you have basically, if I had we'll send you guys a graphic of it, but you would have a center channel, mm-hmm. and then you would have a one channel here and one channel there. So you would wire it with 3 wires.
So just so you guys know, this is a passive system. You still use the amps inside your receiver.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a speaker. Okay, you gotta plug it in using speaker wire. Yeah. Now, the nice thing about this is, like say this is I think for a 75-inch TV. And those TVs may vary in size. So, and they may vary by a few inches. So you could actually, there's a little extension panel, if I can get it to come back out, where you can actually adjust the width a little bit and then tighten them down. So when you look at the TV, it looks fluid. Yeah. So this is the 75. But we know TVs are getting bigger and bigger, right? Oh,
this is how Phil gets his muscles.
This, so I don't knock you out, is the 85. And if you look at that guy, because we know TVs are growing in size, right? Big high performance TVs require big sound. So this is a perfect combination with an 85-inch TV. Or maybe even bigger.
Well, we've been looking at 100-inch TVs at CEDIA, so you got to have a 100-inch model now.
But you got to remember, you don't want big TVs, thin sound, right? Yeah. We always say video without audio is just surveillance, right? So why would you have that big, massive TV without having a sound? And your sound bar can be 6 feet tall. which is actually kind of neat. So this is the big guy. Still, like I said, 3 channels you have to connect to this. And then you pair this with a subwoofer. Really, really good. We recommend crossing them all over between about 120 and 150.
And the nice thing about that is if you get 2 subs up front, you could raise that crossover point without the subs being localized.
Without being able to localize it.
Yeah.
And the higher up you, at 120, at 120 hertz, it really is a punchy dynamic, well blended
Yeah, because
system.
the sub has, if you get a good sub that's wide bandwidth, there's a lot of dynamic range in that area, so you really make up for the fact that these don't play down low.
Exactly.
You're doing it more efficiently with the subs. So Phil, what is the price range on all these models?
So the LCRs, like the single channel, starts at about $1,200. If you want the big boy, the big 3 channel, that's about $2,500.
Sweet. So how do you mount these? Because I see there's screw holes on the back, but what?
So there's 2 ways to go.
All about?
There's 2 ways to go. So if you look, you have your traditional keyhole mounts so you can just basically drill a screw in the wall and hang it. But that's actually sometimes can be kind of a pain in the butt, right? So because these are kind of a CI focused speaker, what you can do with it is they ship with a plate. So this is the plate for the 85. So instead of you having to align that, you would basically bolt this plate to the wall, just like a little tab there that really locks the speaker in, and then you just snap the speaker on. So it's a lot easier to mount it. So once you get this centered, you would mount it. So that's if you're going to mount it on the wall.
Right.
We have found that many people who buy that big LCR are probably going to want to, maybe they may want to put on a swing up bracket. So you get the 75, you want to swing the TV out, and you want the sound to go with it, right? So the 3 channel, the 3C, comes with these VESA mounts. So basically these would bolt between the TV and the wall bracket, and depending on the size of the TV, where you mount them like this, whether you mount them like that, and the amount of adjustability, you can basically hang this right below the TV, bump it up to the TV, and when the TV swings, the soundbar swings.
That's pretty slick.
Okay, so that's cool. And speaking of that, a lot of people who buy those swing out type TVs may want to use them for outdoors. I'm at the barbecue, and then I swing it over so I can see it from the pool, right? Well, these speakers are, I think they're IP66 rated, so very, very, very water resistant, more than an outdoor TV. So you'll be more. But if you're scared enough to take your TV down, you're probably it's about, you know.
They're going to outlast the TV that's outside.
Exactly, especially. Yeah. So and that has to do because, you know, looking at an aluminum oxide dome, that's not going to corrode.
Right.
It's an aluminum chassis, you know, and then the cones are like a composite.
Yeah, I was wondering what the cone material was on this.
I think it's a composite.
Cool.
So, but all in all, you end up with a very water resistant, weather resistant thing. So people, you know, maybe outside, like Florida, most of the time, except for when you guys have hurricanes, but Florida, California, it's a 12, you know, you're going to use your outdoor theater 12 months a year. Yeah. And also these are really popular. We're finding for people who want large luxury yachts and boats out there because of their weather resistance, that makes it perfect for like marine applications. Yeah.
All right, so this is great on the on-wall stuff. This is a CI-focused video here. So what about in-wall and in-ceiling speakers?
Okay, so we also are announcing or showing off a couple of CI products, CI Pro, CI Max. So you notice that they still have that same aluminum dome tweeter in there, and if you but there's a couple of differences. So there's 2 versions. So they go, what's the difference between the 2 versions? The Max utilizes that BDSS, that dual suspension driver, and the waveguide on its driver, and this guy does not. Okay, and then you get things like an upgraded crossover.
You got a vented pole piece on this driver.
Yeah, and it's upgraded crossover, and then also kind of like a cover to protect it from the elements. Actually, it's easier to see the difference between those 2 systems if I grab the on-wall. So hold that.
Well, one thing you didn't mention on that is I noticed you could angle the mid-range and tweeter together, right? Exactly.
So both of these systems, if you can angle so that one you can angle the tweeter, right?
Yeah.
This one, you can angle this entire driver assembly. So
that's very useful when you're installing in-ceiling speakers for Atmos. Most of the time, they just fire straight down.
Yeah, you want to angle them out.
Angle them towards the listening area.
The other benefit of angling, and it's not just the tweeter, because a lot of companies you can angle the tweeter. You can angle the drive, both the tweeter and the mid-woofer. Yeah. That helps too if you're trying to have a pair of in-ceilings for a stereo application, and you don't want the guy to seem like he's 12 feet tall.
Right.
By angling the drivers down, you actually pull the image down the wall, and it seems more like it's coming from the middle of the wall or from your TV instead of up in the ceiling.
Right.
So that's good. But if you look at that one right there, that is a Pro, and then this one is a Max. So if you look at it, you can see from that the drivers are different, right? Mm-hmm. And then if I turn them around, you'll see that the upgraded crossover on them.
And again, the vented pole piece, so you have more power handling on that woofer.
Exactly, exactly. Now, the next thing that they added was, we have a lot of companies, a lot of brands.
Yep.
And if another brand comes up with a very good idea for mounting a speaker, that idea is shared across the brands. So Bowers has this came up with this really good mounting solution where you get like basically a ring that you put into the wall, and then it has dog ears that lock the ring into the wall. And then once that's done, you basically take the speaker, and the speaker fits into the ring and locks in. So so these little dog ears can be adjusted.
Oh, sweet.
So basically, you put the ring in, you slide that down, now it's stuck to the wall. So no screwing, nothing like that. And then the driver goes in, and with a Phillips screwdriver, or actually when you first put them in, they just lock. I need a Phillips screwdriver to get it out.
Oh.
So you can basically do these things toolless. Hole in the ceiling, put them in, pull the dog ears down, put the speaker in, they lock. To get them out, you need a screwdriver to kind of...
Well, it's funny you mentioned Bowers & Wilkins, because I have some Bowers & Wilkins in-ceiling speakers in the Audioholics Smart House, and the one thing I love about them is when they're in, they're seamless to the ceiling. There's no ring around it. You know how you get like a trim piece
this one's going to have a little bit... The only main difference is the mounting solution on these are about the same. Moving up to the Bowers, because they are more expensive, right?
Yeah.
The difference is that the way that their bezels are done, and also... the way this one works, the Bowers ones that you have, the terminals that you put the wires into are on the ring. And then when you slap the speaker in, it's kind of like a connection that connects the speaker to the wire that's connected to the ring. This one, you put the ring in, but you have to plug the wires into the speaker themselves.
Okay.
So more cost effective, because Bowers lives at a different level or different price point. So it gets a few more tricks and bells and whistles, but they both do toolless. So think of it as toolless installation. Takes you a minute and a half if you have the hole cut properly.
Right. So what about the in-walls that you have over here?
Okay, so there's two versions, like I said, depending on the application. So,
well, I'm talking about that one.
Okay, so there's a couple of things we do. We're not showing all of them. We're just showing a few pieces.
Yeah.
So this one, okay, there's a couple different options. You get the wholesome stuff, Gene.
All right.
Okay.
Show and tell.
All right. Show and tell. Okay. So someone's looking for a more traditional, on wall is this one. Then if they want more output, it's the one that you have, right? Then there's this one right here, which is a bipole. So if you're trying to get for something, if you want a more diffused soundstage, like for a rear surround channel, this is actually a great option for that. So you can actually do that. And
interesting. So you use those as rears and not sides, or do you do them?
You can use them as however you want to use them.
Right. Rear,
sides, whatever. Because you notice it's two tweeters. The goal is to make it basically give you that. You can, if you want to, use for the front. It depends on how big. If you want a big, massive soundstage, you may want to use these for the fronts. But a lot of times people will opt for something like this for the front, and then something like a bipole to give you a big. But you buy what you like. We just make it, right?
All the options available. Yeah.
All the options available.
What's that driver you have all the way in the corner? It looks like a bass driver.
Okay, let me grab that.
I'm making him work today.
I know. Oh, well, I grabbed that. There's a couple that we're not showing. People sometimes want to just have. You have a hallway that's running forever. You're not going to put two speakers in it that are like one left, one right, because you're listening to the Beatles and you hear a voice over here and the music over there, right? So we make a couple models that have stereo inputs. in that lineup. So if you want to, and you could put one speaker in the hallway and another speaker down the other hallway, and you'll hear the left side, which is the music, and the right side, which is the singers.
Right.
So what this is actually just one of the passive radiators from actually a Dimension tower.
I thought it was an in-wall sub driver.
No. It's just kind of showing stuff, the dual suspension, the fact that it's weighted. Yeah. So, and things like that. This is what makes that BP tower hum, and the drivers.
These things have some, excuse me, these things have some really good bass response. You should definitely check out our review on audioholics.com. We'll put a link down below on that.
Exactly. So like I said, it's the Dimension, the Definitive Technologies products, the new stuff are really cool. The goal is to give you guys and gals the opportunity to mix and match and pick the pieces you need for your application. In walls, on walls, in ceilings, floor standers. So pretty much any kind of application, any type of home, Definitive Technology has.
And you do have in-wall subwoofers too.
And we do also have in-wall subwoofers.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Phil, thanks for dropping the knowledge. Guys, if you like this video, please hit the thumb up, hit subscribe. Don't forget about our Patreon channel at patreon.com/audioholics. We appreciate your support. You get direct access to me if you want to suggest video topics. And until next time, my friends, keep listening.